Hello, everybody. I am Linda Ross. I'm the 2020 Montana Teacher of the Year, and I'm a top 4 National Teacher of the Year finalist. And your teacher, Mr. Krishna Pacharu, asked if I would record a video to give you some encouragement and information about what's going on in our world right now. So I'm a science teacher. I teach high school science in Baker, Montana, which is in the southeast corner of the state of Montana, and it's in the northern part of the United States. I teach 10th, 11th, and 12th grade biology, chemistry, and AP biology, anatomy, science research, subjects like that. So I wanted to share with you some lessons about science, but also how we can use English in science. We have to use English to communicate about science and also to learn about it better. So today our lesson is going to be on questions in science. Questions are sentences that start with who, what, where, when, why, and how, and they help us to learn more about things. So we ask a lot of questions in science, and that's probably one of the most important ways that we can learn about science, is asking questions. So I want to give you some examples of how we can ask questions to learn more about what's going on in our world around us and this COVID-19 disease that has affected the entire globe, including my students. My students are also working online. We're not in the classroom, just like you guys. So one question we can ask is, what is an epidemic? An epidemic is a disease that spreads quickly through a population. And so this is a picture of the Ebola epidemic that spread in Africa. Another question we can ask is, what is a pandemic? That's another word that you might have heard. And this is when we have an epidemic, except it spreads all over the world. And you can see in this global map, this is from pretty recent, April 28th, today. And you can see how many countries it has affected all over the world, most of the countries. And you can also see how many cases and deaths have occurred all over the country. And then here's another graph that we can look at. We can ask questions about this graph, and this is daily deaths. So this is how many people have died each day all over the world of this disease. Here are some other questions that we can ask about the disease. We can ask, what is COVID-19? When are things going to get better? Who is it affecting? Where has it spread? Why did everything close? And how should I respond? So those are some questions that you can think about. And we're using all of our question words that we use in English: what, when, who, where, why, and how. And I'll answer some of those questions directly. And some of them I want you to dig more into to see if you can answer them. So first, what is COVID-19? It is a disease that's caused from a novel coronavirus, and there's a picture of it at the bottom. And the name of it is actually SARS-CoV-2. You might have heard that name. It's related to SARS and MERS, which are other epidemics that have spread. It's spread through droplets from when we cough or sneeze. And new studies are showing that people without any symptoms at all can have this disease. Another question that you might have is, what are the symptoms? So these are the main symptoms that we look for. We look for a fever, which is when your temperature is hot and you use a thermometer to check it. We look for a cough, if you have a cough, and difficulty breathing. Those are the main symptoms that they're looking at. Here's another question that you might have had. Why did everything close? You obviously closed your school where you live, and probably a lot of businesses and other things have closed down, stores and parks maybe. Those are some things that are closed here in the United States, in Montana. So one of the reasons why everything closed is we're trying to flatten the curve. That means that we're trying to get fewer people to get it in a certain amount of time, because then our medical personnel can handle the disease and help people. If too many people get it at once, then they can't handle the disease. So here's another example of what that graph might look like. The blue peak is where a whole bunch of people get it, and that happened with the Spanish flu in Philadelphia in 1918. And then the red line is fewer people are getting it, so it spreads out that curve. Here's another question you might have. Why did everything close? And because the thing that we're looking at with this is social distancing. So that means that we need to make sure that we're not getting too close to people, because if we cough or sneeze on them, we can spread it. So that's what that idea of social distancing is. Here's another question. How should I respond? That might be a question that you have. And so here are some pointers that I give my students. Make sure that you keep calm. Make sure that you're washing your hands with soap and water frequently. Avoid touching your face, because that's how the disease gets into our bodies. And make sure that you're practicing social distancing. So when you're outside in public, you're staying away from other people, because if you get close to them, you can transmit the disease. Make sure that you're avoiding gatherings where you have more than 10 people. Try to stay home as much as you can, and stay connected to friends and family. So here's my message to you. I want you all to practice asking science questions. Ask them to each other, ask them to your family members, and to your teacher. You can ask questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are all the question words that we use in English. Who identifies a person? You're trying to find out who somebody is or who it affects. What is when you're trying to find out more about a topic. When is when you're trying to find a time. Where is when you're trying to find out a location where something is. And why and how are trying to find the reasons behind something. When you ask these questions, make sure that you keep learning. And for now, we can focus on being present with our families, helping each other, and being kind. And so we can do all of these things. We can ask science questions to learn more about the disease and what's happening. And then we can also focus on being kind and helping each other through this pandemic. Remember that the whole world is going through this. We're being affected here in Montana, and you're being affected where you live. And we all need to work together to get through this well. Thank you.